Congressman, we played that because Officer Fanone, you were trying to help him get a meeting with Kevin McCarthy. And I want to read, you've got 107 of your fellow lawmakers who've signed on to this letter. I want to read a little bit from your letter to McCarthy. For weeks, Officer Fanone has requested to speak with you. During National Police Week, he again called your office to request a meeting and was hung up on. Officer Fanone has been unable to speak with you or schedule a meeting. During National Police Week, we respectfully request that you honor and support Officer Fanone's request to meet with you about police officers' on-the-ground experiences, injuries, and ongoing suffering from their defense of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Why won't Kevin McCarthy meet with Officer Fanone? What is your understanding of the facts there?
He should hear from Officer Fanone what Officer Fanone experienced. It's so hard to watch that footage, Nicole, and you can't unhear an officer pleading, playing the last card that he felt that he had, I have kids, hoping that he would resonate with somebody and they would let up on him. And thank God he was able to survive. But I took Officer Fanone to meet Speaker Pelosi and the impeachment managers months ago, and every day as we see more and more insurrection deniers in Congress, as I talk to Officer Fanone, it really fires him up on behalf of the other officers who are there. And so he's asked to meet with Kevin McCarthy because he wants to go through his body cam footage with Kevin McCarthy to tell him what he experienced and hope that Kevin McCarthy, as the leader of the Republican Party, would tell his colleagues like Andrew Clyde and Jody Hice and Paul Gosar that this was an insurrection and there were consequences for people that fed the big lie, and the consequences were the injured and dead officers. And, oh, by the way, it's Police Week. If you can't meet with me this week, when would you ever think to meet with me?
Congressman, Kevin McCarthy has said that he, at a date and time uncertain, will meet with Officer Fanone. But as you said, nothing has been scheduled, and we don't know of anything either. I want to, though, focus on something you said. I mean, we don't make a decision lightly to show an officer's moment where he's literally, in his view, and he's said this in other interviews, pleading for his life. And you're right, a human being's last card is, I'm a parent, I'm a mom, I'm a dad. Why do you think insurrection trutherism has the GOP in such I don't even know the word, but whipped up into another delusion?
Well, remember, Nicole, that over 10 of them voted against giving Officer Fanone and Capitol Hill police officers the Congressional Gold Medal because they objected to the use of the word insurrection. Look, I don't know if it's because a guilty conscience that they have because they fed the big lie that led to the insurrection. That seems to be the most likely outcome here. But again, to just take a step back, during Police Week, we honor those who have fallen and have given their lives. People died on January 6th, and the best way to honor those who died is to take care of those who are still here. And the officers in this building who are all around me and protect us, and the tourists at the Capitol, they're still grieving. And when they hear people denying the truth of what happened that day, it makes their grieving for themselves and their families much worse. So I'm just asking Kevin McCarthy, sit down with this officer, just as I have, just as Speaker Pelosi has. Listen to his concerns. He comes with no political agenda. This guy does not give a rip about politics. In fact, he comes just like I come from a Trump Republican family. And so his bias is not in favor of Democrats at all. He jams me up all the time about stuff that Democrats say, and I can take it. So Kevin McCarthy can certainly listen to what he experienced.
And tell us what we should know about Mr. Andrew Clyde, who was standing by his comments yesterday that footage of the insurrection looks like any other day of tourists at the Capitol.
It's just false. I don't know what other tours Andrew Clyde has been at the Capitol. I was a tour guide as an intern. They're not bloody and violent. They don't include weapons or beatings and spitting on police officers or terrorizing, members of Congress. Again, it's just to feed this big lie and to deny what happened. But I also want to point out, Paul Gosar said something that was equally awful. He said that Ashley Babbitt was executed. Now, Nicole, Ashley Babbitt is the woman that was leading the mob that was about to storm the House floor, and she was shot by a brave officer who was the last line of defense for many members of Congress. And many of these members were the slowest, least mobile members because they were having the hardest time getting out. If they had been overrun by that mob, people would have been killed. So to call that officer an executioner dehumanizes and delegitimizes his role and endangers other officers.
And what do you think it says about Kevin McCarthy that Mr. Gosar, I saw those comments yesterday as well, and Mr. Clyde, no comments today, no rebuke, no let's tone it down on the lies about the insurrection, yet Liz Cheney stripped of her leadership post?
Well, it says that Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger operate with a core set of principles. Most of them voted very often with Donald Trump, and Cheney's being replaced by someone who didn't really vote with Donald Trump. So it's not a party of principles anymore. It's a leader in Kevin McCarthy who's just seeking power and for power's sake. And so, it says more about the courage of Cheney and Kinzinger than anything positive about Kevin McCarthy. But again, he has an opportunity to be a leader right now. Meet with Officer Fanone. Tell your caucus to stop denying the truth about January 6th and work with us to create a commission that can understand how we can make sure this never happens at the Capitol again.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.